that in mind because this is a public meeting, and so we will be sharing this through our district webpage as well. So I just want everybody to know that as we begin, it is going to be recorded. And Candace, Bethany, I know you have the agenda up on the screen. So Dr. Wilkerson, if you want to start with just some welcome, and then let's just go ahead and go around and do some introductions.
Okay, terrific. Thank you so much, Dr. Spiro. Appreciate it. I'm Judy Wilkerson. I'm the outgoing chair of this committee, and pleased to welcome all of you who are joining us new or have been with us in the past. Would people like to introduce themselves? Or should I call on people to introduce themselves? Not sure how we best do this online. Any advice?
Dr. Wilkerson, if you want, we can start with the district staff that's on the call, and then,
Okay.
and then we can move it over. So since I'm already talking, my name is Bethany Quisenberry, and I am the director for elementary curriculum and instruction. And then only because I see him next, Dr. Spiro.
Oh, I like how we're going to do this. We'll introduce the next person after me. So I like that. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jeff Spiro. I'm the Chief Academic Officer for the School District of Lee County, and also a product of the School District of Lee County as well. So next, I'd like to introduce Candace Oliveto.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Candace Oliveto. I am the Director for High School Curriculum and Instruction. I have been with the district 16 years and also a product of Lee County Schools. And I will turn it over to Miss Lori Helpchen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lori, and I'm Director for Middle School, and I just completed my 30th year in education. Woo woo. And I'm still loving it. So moving on, the next person I see is Miss Isabel.
Isabel, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry.
There you
No,
go.
I'm Isabel Barroso. I'm on the committee advisory board. I'm a non-district employee.
All right, anybody else want to jump in next?
Christina, you want to start?
Sure. I am Christina Stewart. I just got hired as a first-year teacher at Trafalgar Elementary, so I'm teaching 3rd grade, so thank you. That's super exciting and definitely a different experience than what I expected. So I am just happy to be back for my 2nd year here on the committee.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Listen, if you can survive this first year in this model, you're going to be fine from this point forward.
That's what I keep hoping. That's what I'm telling myself, at least.
Sophia, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Sophia Wirtz. This is my first year on the committee. I am actually loving this. I'm still trying to understand all of this. And I look forward to another year.
Awesome. Marissa, I see you next.
Hi, I'm Marissa Beyer, and I am a teacher in Lee County. I'm originally from Broward County, and I was a teacher there for 2 years, and then I came over here in the 2015 teacher recruitment fair. Was hired on the spot at Varsity Lakes, and then was there about 4 years, and I went to East, and now I'm at Veterans Park, and I am an entirely all Lee Home Connect teacher. So I am really good at this Zoom stuff and really good at all the little controls and all of that. I actually moved to the reading department. They wanted somebody to do up the literacy. So I'm in the reading department. I've been language arts for 7 years, but my 8th year teaching, I am in the reading department. Our principal asked me to move on over. I have my full reading endorsement, so it was just kind of fell into my lap. And I'm also the vice chair of the curriculum advisory board. And I actually was in another Zoom right before this because I'm also on FGCU's board of directors. So I had 2 Zoom meetings back to back. Theirs is still going on. I told them I had to leave about 30 minutes in because I had this one too. So that's fine.
Welcome back. I see April next.
Hi, everyone. So last year I was April Ketron, and now I am April White. I got married right before COVID, spring break. So we had the wedding, but we didn't get the honeymoon, but that's okay. We're going to plan a big one for this year. I am at Harns Marsh Middle School as their magnet lead teacher. This is my 24th year in the district. I taught 21 years in elementary. This is my 3rd year in middle, and I am also a product of the Lee County School District. And I also just got off of Zoom doing a book study with East Zone leaders.
Nice. April, what is the book study on?
It's called Courageous Conversations.
You're going to love that one. That's a really good one. I've done Courageous Conversations. And congratulations on getting married.
Thank you.
John, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, yes. My name is John Highland. I'm not a product of Lee County, but I actually have a lot of big passion for education and the Lee County School Board system. I'm in the private sector. I work in customs compliance. I actually just recently bought a condo, so I apologize. I'm going back and forth between my house and my apartment. So unfortunately, I can't see my face for the video, but I'm glad to be on this call. I'll absolutely give my full attention. Yeah, that's the thing too, is happy, a lot going on. So I'm looking forward to this meeting as well and getting back involved. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Welcome.
Yes. And one of the very most important people on our meeting ever is our amazing secretary. Helen, you want to introduce yourself? She's too busy frantically writing notes of everything that we say. Unmute yourself, Helen. Unmute yourself, Helen. There you go.
You hear me now?
Yes.
I sounded better when I was muted. Anyway, my name is Helen Hernandez, and I enjoy my 3 people that I work for. I have some awesome people. That's why I'm the happiest person you'll ever see in the school district. But anyway, it's nice to see you all again. Welcome back.
Helen, that was super sweet to say.
It's true.
Anytime you guys need anything or you have any questions, Helen is the one who emailed you the agendas, and she emails you the calendar invite. So any questions or anything that you have, you can contact Helen anytime. And if she doesn't know the answer, which she usually does, but if she doesn't know the answer, she gets with Dr. Spiro, Candace, Lori, or I, and gets you the answer back as soon as she can. And I see Ms. Fisher has joined us. Ms. Fisher, you want to introduce yourself?
You have to unmute, Ms. Fisher.
Pardon me?
There you go. We can hear you now. Perfect.
Okay. I thought I unmuted myself. Hi, I'm Mary Fisher, District 1 representative on the school board and currently the school board chair. And this is my 3rd time on curriculum advisory, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Wilkerson, you get to do the final introduction of yourself.
Okay, I thought I was going to escape that. I'm delighted to be on this committee again. I've been on it for a few years, but I can't remember how many. And I have the pleasure of teaching research, assessment, and evaluation at FGCU. But I'm from New Jersey. I'm sorry, I'm not a product of Lee County Schools, but I am from New Jersey. We are what we are, right? So thank you all. We're delighted that everyone has been able to join us, and we're all becoming experts in Zoom. We're going to take one quick look at our mission statement, and I think we have it projected in front of us on our screens. So I don't know that I need to read it aloud to everybody, but I will ask everybody to just read it silently to themselves so that we know why we're here. And we'll take a minute to do that. Okay, has everyone had a chance to read it? Okay, so on our agenda tonight, we're going to do one thing before we elect the chair, and that is to have a presentation by the board attorney, Kathy Dupuy-Bruno, on parliamentary procedure and policy 1.20. Is Kathy here?
I don't see Kathy on yet, and so if we can just switch the agenda, if maybe we can let Ms. Fisher give her board report
Okay.
first, and then maybe the attorney will be on by then.
Do you want me to, do you want to have the election of the chair at this point?
I don't know, Lori, should we do that before the attorney speaks?
I would think
Texting
not.
her right now.
Okay.
Okay, so good evening, everyone, and welcome. Helen, that was such a nice thing for you to say, and I concur. You work with some really awesome people. So we are doing fairly well with our COVID progress. We have more and more kids applying to come back face to face, which is great. And so far, so good. We have continued to serve our grab and go lunches for kids who are learning virtually. And at this time, we have about 45,000 kids face to face, about 35 on Lee Home Connect, about 5,500 on Lee Virtual, and 2,500 homeschooled. So the other big news that we have is that our school district has partnered with United Way of Lee, Hendry, and Glades, and Okeechobee counties to help with a brand new school resource center, which is located in our very own Lee Public Education Center. It is filled with clothes and school supplies and hygiene products that are delivered by our pony upon request from school social workers, school counselors, teachers, or administrators by our pony mail. And when the request is made, they get the equipment that they need, clothes, shoes, whatever, the next day. So we're really excited about being able to house that little warehouse and to be participating with our community partners increasingly. So I think the board had a workshop today on protocols and process, and so we continue to work towards continuous improvement and to serve our constituents while supporting our students and staff. And that's about all I have this evening, and I didn't get an answer from Kathy yet, but I will. And
okay, so what would you all like me to do?
Yeah.
I can present the textbook stuff.
That's great. Let's go ahead and do procedural pieces, and we'll see if we can get a hold of Kathy Bruno, then to go over.
Yeah, you just went silent there. Okay.
So Lori, do you want to go next? And then go back up?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll present.
You want to kind of give like a quick overview of the purpose of I mean, we read that just blanked on my words, the top piece. Do you want to give a quick update on some of the purposes of what we're going to do as a committee, or do you want to just go straight into the ELA stuff?
You speaking with me or Judy?
You, Lori. Sorry.
So last year when we left off, we had studied the English language learners, and we had 3 schools who have a high population of English language learners talk about the strengths and the challenges of the programs that they run. And we were ready to make recommendations to the board regarding the findings. And so at our next meeting when we return, we'll need to revisit and flesh out what those recommendations will be. And then from there, we need to generate a list of topics and or topic, if we want to stay with one topic, that we will study throughout the year to be able to make board recommendations. So one of the ones that I was going to present tonight is that we have a really big textbook adoption. When we say big, we have a textbook adoption every year, but this one is English language arts and reading. So it's one of our bigger ones, and because all students take English language arts. And so what we hope is that we will have a member of curriculum advisory serve on the committee, or hopefully more than one member, because it's actually 2 different adoptions, reading or English language arts. So that's one of the topics that we were going to present tonight, so that everybody could just kind of think about it. And then once we have a new chair, then we would talk about other topics that we might be interested in.
Is somebody trying to get on?
Yeah.
She's muted now. Go ahead, Lori.
I'm sorry. I thought the attorney was here. So anyhow, to generate a list of topics and or have discussion at the end of the meeting about topics that you're interested in, and then we can bring forward some information for you to study that further. So the goal is that we have the community weigh in on things that are important to the district and moving forward with our curriculum. So, and sometimes that means that we give you, like, typically we give a data presentation at the very beginning of the year. That would be challenging this year, as our biggest data points were canceled, due to the pandemic. We didn't take a lot of our state assessments. So we are doing baseline data as we speak. And so by the time we meet again, we will have baseline data that we can present. And that kind of fleshes out like what our work is for the year. Bethany, anything you want to add? Candace?
No, you said it perfectly.
So do you want me to share the, okay.
Yeah, and you're a co-host, so you should be able to take over. Let me stop sharing. And you should be able to take over.
Dr.
You see it?
Quisenberry?
Yes,
Hello?
ma'am.
Can someone send Miss Bruno the link? It was not on her calendar either.
Yes, Candace, I think Candace just did. Candace, did you do it in the beginning of the meeting? Yes, Candace? Yes, okay.
Yes.
So with the pandemic, we'll continue until Ms. Dupuy comes. But with the pandemic, some of our adoption timelines have moved back a little bit. The first timeline that got moved back was the fact that the state is moving to a new set of standards in a couple of years called the BEST standards. And so that shifted our timeline back considerably. And so instead of adopting ELA or reading last year, it's up for adoption this year. So that means that we stay on using our current instructional materials. But this year we review all of the new resources that publishers are presenting to us and to the state. And then from there, we make a decision as to what we want to adopt. And then one of the challenges whenever we're changing standards is that you'll be adopting materials ahead of when the students will actually be responsible and teachers responsible for the standards. So when we adopt these, it may be a decision that we have you weigh in on as to also when to purchase, because typically we purchase at the end of that year, but with the delay in the adoption of the standards, that will be a decision that you'll weigh in on as well. So what we will do is, what we expect is that the state will release the publisher list. We're expecting that anytime, but hoping that it'll come in October because it's already late. Once we have that, the state releases the bid list, and then from there we set up a publisher showcase. And so we will invite, the public is invited, teachers are invited, and this curriculum committee will be invited. And so you basically just move around to the to meet virtually with the publishers first. And then typically we have a face-to-face where you can actually come and see all the materials, but that will all be sent electronic so you can review that. So in November is when we do the publisher showcase, but it'll be done virtually this year. And that's when they will have publisher presentations, so they're timed. And typically that's when we have like our committee, we start solidifying our committee. So we have a training that we'll do in November. And then in December, we come and we listen to the presentations and we go through our rubrics. And based on the presentation and the materials, we just keep narrowing down by deliberating and coming to a consensus until we get with our top 2 choices. And then from there, they select their first choice and then their second choice. Once that happens, then we also like submit what our committee and our curriculum advisory also weighs in, and we submit that to the school board, and we begin the process to adopt the materials. And at that time, we will also make a recommendation as to whether we will hold purchasing for 1 more year, so that we will be adopting at the same time the students would be held responsible for the standards. So as soon as we know the dates, we will get that timeline out to you, but I just want you to be thinking about it and kind of weighing in and considering whether or not you'd like to serve as a representative for the Curriculum Advisory Committee. So we'll have, the adoption is for elementary, middle, and high school English language arts, and elementary, middle, and high school reading, which is more going to be like our intensive reading, so students who are struggling in reading. Back to you, Bethany.
Actually goes back to Judy. So Judy, we'll go back to, because now we can go back to and start on our original agenda, because I believe Ms. Bruno is now on the call.
You got to unmute your mic.
Oops. Okay. Just please remember that I am going to need to sign off in 30 minutes. And so if you want me to handle the election, we need to take that into account. It's now 6:30 and we have a 30-minute presentation by the attorney. So however you want to do it is fine by me. Let's just kind of all be aware of the timing.
Can we,
okay.
let's check with the attorney to see if that's
what she wants to do. I think we should elect a new chair. So we'll see what she wants to do.
Dr. Wilkinson. Dr. Wilkins. Yes, Kathy just texted me. She was logged in but got kicked out. She's trying to get in again.
Okay.
So then I would say let's go ahead and elect the new chair, Ms. Wilkerson. Dr. Wilkerson.
That's a good idea. Thank you. I was trying to be real subtle. But
Bring some of that New Jersey out next time, Dr. Wilkerson.
Yeah, really. All right. So I will tell you that it is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to chair this committee. And so I'm hoping that we'll get some wonderful people to make nominations for the chair. And I'm going to throw the floor open for anyone who would like to make a nomination for chair. Why don't you unmute everybody so that if we have somebody who wants to say something, they can. Excellent, thank you. And then people, if you have anything going on in the background that would be noisy, just please mute yourselves. That would be much appreciated. So do I have a nomination for someone to serve as chair of this committee? I'll nominate Marissa, but I can't remember her last name. Marissa was our vice chair last time. Somebody help me with Byers.
Fire. You got it.
Fire. Well, you got it. There it came back. So I would
second that
please
nomination.
to nominate Marissa Byer. She has excellent experience as a classroom teacher and is very enthusiastic and willing to serve and did a great job last year as vice chair. Do I have a second for that motion?
I second that motion.
Okay. Do we know who I is?
John Highland.
Jonathan. Okay.
Yes.
Do we have any discussion of this motion?
No.
Okay, then I'm going to call the question. All in favor of accepting Marissa Byer as the new chair of the committee? How do we want to vote? Do we want to say aye? Do we want to raise our hands? What will work in Zoom?
Let's do a thumbs
Thumbs
up.
up. Can you see all of us?
Thumbs up.
Okay.
I got a thumbs up here.
Okay. So somebody count that, please, because I can't see all of the all of the screens. Is it
Helen has
unanimous? Okay, Candace is saying that it's unanimous. So Marissa, congratulations, and I think you should take the lead and get yourself a vice chair.
Will do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Marissa, do you want to handle the nominations then for vice chair? You're the chair. Congratulations, first off.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Great job last year. We're all looking forward to working with you.
Really cool. If anything gets really loud, because I'm home with my my toddlers. My husband works nights, so he has tomorrow off, but not today. So anyway, fine. I managed to do dinner while on Zoom. Okay, very good.
Multitask.
All right, so we are selecting a vice chair. Am I doing this right? Okay, we are selecting a vice chair for our curriculum advisory committee. And is there anyone with a nomination?
If you're interested, you can also volunteer.
Marissa, I'll volunteer to support you, but with the caveat that I'm not going to be able to attend meetings locally, and I'm also going to be on FMLA for a part of this this year. But I'm happy to help you as you helped me. So if you'd like me to self-nominate under that condition, I'm happy to do so.
Is there anyone else with a nomination?
I think you need to get a second.
A second? That's it. Is there anyone to second this under the conditions that Dr. Wilkerson has said? If you're seconding this, then you're cool with the conditions. Yeah, is there a second?
I
I'll
will
second it.
second, and if you need a backup for vice chair, I will help.
Wonderful.
Okay.
We've been
Yeah, that leadership in
together
action
for a
right
long
there.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who are you?
Okay, so thumbs up. We're all good with this?
All right, so everybody can agree with Dr. Wilkerson and April working together in tangent.
Awesome.
And
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
All right, so, okay. It looks like we're moving on to, is there another new chair that we have to do?
No, so at this time, Marissa, what we'll do is we'll move on to our school board attorney, Kathy Bruno, who's going to go over for us the parliamentary procedures. And Kathy, thank you so much for joining us and rejoining us and joining us again. We are glad that you are here. We're a very easy to get along with group. So thank you so much for taking the time for joining us, and the floor is yours, Ben.
Thank you very much. If I could share my screen with you, I would appreciate that. And first, let me apologize for being late. I was on a phone call that was really important that I had to get some stuff resolved for the board. And then lo and behold, when I got on, I was having some technical difficulties. So I do apologize for that. Okay.
I made you a co-host, so you should be able to share now.
Thank you so much. Let me go back to. Can everybody see my screen now?
Yes.
Everybody good?
Yes.
Wonderful. Again, thank you so much for having me. Again, I apologize for my tardiness, but let's see what I can do perhaps to give you some tidbits to help you throughout the year with some parliamentary procedures and some tips of the trade. So first and foremost, what I always like to make sure everybody understands is that there is a board policy before 1.20, which is 1.19, which kind of triggers 1.20, where it is the community engagement policy that the board believes in trying to go out into the community and getting some feedback and being cohesive with the community. And that's what triggers 1.20. And the purpose of these community advisory boards is to provide the board with some input, to give them advice, to give them support on various topics. And from time to time themselves, they may ask you to provide information on a particular area. Membership on the board is appointed by the board. And if you miss 3 meetings, then you will be removed from the membership. And the membership usually lasts 2 years. I'm going to go back a slide to fiduciary duty. One thing I want all of the members of the committee to remember is that you are not supposed to benefit personally from your involvement on this advisory committee, not yourself or on behalf of your family or any employer or entity that you may have contractual relationships with. The committee meetings are September, October, November. We skip December, January, March, and April. I see that you've already selected your chairs. And from time to time, as I indicated, the superintendent may have a topic or the board may have a topic that they want you to present. Your meetings are videotaped. A public comment is a part of the advisory committee meetings. And with that said, as well as with Robert's Rules of Order, we always want you to have professional decorum at all times. One thing that you're fortunate with is that in these meetings, a quorum is not required. Your involvement with the board will be through your board liaison. You should meet, the chair should meet with the board liaison prior to any meeting to be able to review the agenda. And of course, your involvement with the entire board will be during your quarterly reports to the board. So this board, this advisory committee, your purpose, of course, is to provide input as to the curriculum. There's some interesting things that I'm sure you guys will discuss in terms of diversity and inclusion and some mandatory statutory curriculum changes with regard to the Holocaust as well as to the Osceola massacre and how to implement that. This may be even some things that you discuss with one of our other advisory committees such as EDAC. In addition, you will also look into the technology issues and promote the integration of technology for the district. So, why are you subject to the Sunshine Law and public records? Because of the fact that this advisory committee is there to advise the board on various things that may come before them, that triggers your you being in the sunshine. If this was just a fact-finding board, that may be something completely different. So because of that, you are required to meet in the public. Your meetings have to be properly noticed. You must have minutes taken of your meeting, and your records must be maintained. Now, one of the things that Board Policy 1.20 requires is, even though you don't have to have a quorum, all of the other rules with regards to Robert's Rules of Order do apply. The whole thing with Robert's Rules, it's really an opportunity for you to allow your minority voice to be heard, as well as have the majority decide. It's a way to ensure fairness and good faith, and to have a proper, a clear meeting that meets the, so that you can get to your end goal and make some good decisions. The way that Robert's Rules works is that everything that you do, any action that you take, will be through a motion. So how do you move forward if you want to do something? You would get the attention of the chair, usually by raising your hand or getting their notice in some way. And then you will say, I move that we do something. I would recommend that you write down your motion. It's easy for you to formulate your words in terms of exactly what you want to say, as well as for the secretary, who can use the little paper that you use to put in their minutes to make sure that they accurately record the motion. Every motion must be seconded. And just because you second a motion doesn't necessarily mean that you agree with the motion, but what you've done with your second is kept the motion alive so that it can move to discussion. So the chair would say, it has been moved by so-and-so, and that we do whatever the motion is, and seconded by so-and-so. Are you now ready for the question? That's the formal way that Robert's Rules use, is the word that they use is the question. But you can say, are you ready for discussion? Are you ready for debate? So when it gets to that point, members discuss, they debate. Before speaking, please make sure that you obtain the floor by getting your chair's attention. The person who's made the motion is the first person to speak, and then try to keep and make sure that you keep your debates and your discussion germane to the motion, confine it to the merits of the motion. For example, another thing that's really important is that to try to be careful with personalities, try to make your arguments through the chair. Now, if you want to close the debate, it requires a 2/3 vote. I would recommend that the chair or the committee, this body, set some time limits in terms of how long everybody can speak. And during the discussion or debate, it's really important that you listen, obviously be respectful, make sure you're respectful of your time and others' time. Stick to the subject. That is really, really important, because sometimes we go off on tangents. We want to stick to the subject and avoid bringing the personalities. And sometimes, you know, they can get, the discussions can be hot and heavy. One of the ways to avoid that is to try to make sure you address the chair versus addressing particular board members, so you can take out that personality from the discussion. And try to be as formal as you possibly can. That also helps when things get a little hot in the discussions. Let's say that you want to limit the debate because you think that, you know, some members are talking a little bit too long. So you can say, Madam Chair, Mr. Chairman, I move to limit the discussion to 2 minutes per speaker. Whenever you're actually limiting a member's rights, that requires a 2/3 vote. Let's say that you feel that the discussion has just gone way too long, and at this time you're ready for the vote. It's time to end discussion and vote. Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairman, I move the previous question, or you can say, I move that we have a vote. Again, you're limiting the members' rights, so that requires a 2/3 vote. At this point, the chair now has to put the motion to a vote. And Robert's Rules is pretty formal. It'll say, are you ready for the question, which means, are you ready for the vote? You don't necessarily have to do that. But at some point, the chair says, well, the discussion is closed. It is now time for the vote. And the chair is really should restate the motion so that everybody knows what they're voting for. Once the vote is taken, then the chair is obligated to say what the results of that motion is. The motion carries or the motion fails. So one area that gets a little complicated with Robert's Rules is when we decide to amend a motion. And what does that mean? We're adding a word or we're taking out a word. Let's say that you want to buy some slides, some playground equipment for a particular school. And you want to buy green swings for that school. So Madam Chair, I would like to buy green swings for Franklin Park. And then one of your members say, well, I don't really think I want to make it green. Let's just make it blue instead. Madam Chairman, I'd like to move that we amend the motion by striking out green and adding red. The important thing to remember when you're amending motions is that you have to vote on the motion itself. So, Madam Chair, I move that the motion be amended by striking out the word green and adding red in the place of green. A second is needed. And the only thing you're voting on is substituting the red green for red. That's it. That's the only thing you're voting on. You are not actually voting on whether or not to buy the playground equipment. You're just voting on the substitution of the words. And you can only have 2 amendments to a motion. So once you have voted on the amendment, either carries. If it carries, at that point, the motion has changed. I move that we buy the red playground equipment. If it's failed, that doesn't mean your original motion is gone. It just means that the substitution of whatever you were changing, that amendment has failed. So you still go back to your original motion and vote on that. So at that point, it will be buying the green playground equipment. You can also substitute. You know, Madam Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I move to substitute the pending motion because I would like to not buy playground equipment. I think we need to get some books. It's called a substitution. Now, let's say that you think that you need some time on this motion. Maybe you want to send it to a subcommittee. Maybe you want to ponder and maybe vet it a little bit more, get some more information, and you want to wait till the next meeting. So, Madam Chairman, Mr. Chair, I move to postpone the question or postpone the motion until our next meeting. You may get to a point where you feel that the motion just needs to die. We're not going to make progress on it. I don't think there's even enough votes to move forward with this, or I just think it's a really, really bad idea, and I don't want it to keep coming back up again. Madam Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I move to postpone the question indefinitely. I move to postpone the motion indefinitely. That kills the motion. So I'm in a meeting and I made the motion to buy the playground equipment. And during the discussion, I'm hearing my colleagues talk and I realized, you know what? We really don't need this playground equipment. It seems like they have enough of what they need. I don't think we need to do that. So I want to withdraw my motion. Madam Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I move or ask permission to withdraw my motion. I'm in the meeting and it seems like the chair is kind of all over the place today. I'm not sure what's going on, but they're definitely not keeping order and they went from item number 2 to item number 6. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Without recognition from the chair, call for the orders of the day. Let's get back on task. Let's follow the order. You know, I have to go to a meeting after this, and I know that I'm going to need to leave before, you know, the hours that was allocated for this meeting. I have to leave here in about 20 minutes. But I know that item number 5 is something that I want a vote on. So, Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairman, I want to suspend the rules and move item number 5 to position number 2, because I want to vote on that motion, and I know that I want to suspend the rules. As you can see, my internet is unstable. I don't know what's going on, guys. Can you guys still hear and see everything? I hope everything is still okay.
Yes, we still hear you.
Let's say that you are in a meeting. Okay, thank you. Let's say that you're in a meeting and you know, it's a little bit too cold perhaps for you, or there's just too much noise. People are having some sidebars in the back room and you can't hear without recognition from the chairman. Point of personal privilege. And the chairman should say, what's your point? There's just too much noise. I can't hear, or it's a little too cold in here. Can we put the temperature up a little bit? Point of personal privilege. All right, so my colleagues, my members are having some difficulty. Maybe stuff is getting a little bit out of decorum, and this meeting is just going off the deep end here. We really need to get the entire body back in order. I rise to a point of order. Let's get back to business. Let's follow the proper rules. I rise to a point of order. And the chair will say, your point of order is well taken, or it's not well taken. You know, we're talking about buying these playground equipment, and someone is talking about the budget and how much these equipment will cost if we buy this brand or that brand. And I'm not quite sure I understand the difference between the brands aside from the budget. Maybe I need to ask some more information. I need some clarification. Madam Chairman, point of information. Can you please explain to me what the difference is between Company A and Company B and how that impacts the budget? Point of information. You know, listen, we just did this motion. I'm telling you that we need a second on this motion. No, we don't need a second. Or, you know, we're going to limit this. And I'm pretty sure that Ms. Dupuy Bruno said that we needed a 2/3 majority. No, I don't think she did. Well, we need a point of parliamentary inquiry. We need to refresh the rules on parliamentary rules so that we are operating the meeting the way that we're supposed to within Robert's Rules of Order. Point of parliamentary inquiry, and that's when the chair should get out their parliamentary book, Robert's Rules, and answer the question. You guys just did your nominations, I believe, in your elections. So I won't go through that. The only thing I would note is if you only have one candidate, then the nomination is by acclamation. So the chair, when you're running your meeting, what are some best practices for you? Well, make sure you restate the motion because everybody needs to understand what they are voting for. Make sure if you find a member that's struggling with their wording of their motion, you are free to help them find the wording of their motion. If the motion is not in order, for example, you guys are in the middle of discussing A and then somebody comes out of left field and tries to do a motion on Z, then the motion is not in order because you want to keep it germane to the topic that you're discussing. The chair is the one that regulates when the motion is brought to the body for debate. Make sure that you give everybody an opportunity to speak. Make sure you kind of go, you know, one pro, one con, one pro, one con, so that you can, and the body can have the full perspective of what is outstanding. And of course, the chair processes the vote and announces the results of the vote. You know, Madam Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I don't agree with what your ruling was. I do believe that my point of order was correct. I appealed the decision of a chair, and that needs a second. And then the member can basically say why they felt that the chair's ruling was incorrect. And then the chair can address that twice. And then, of course, it's brought to the body for a vote to either sustain or not sustain the chair's decision. Good of the order, that's the time when you can have comments or observations as to what's going on with your particular advisory group. And if there's an issue that has come up with one of your members, that's when you can discuss that as well. Okay, any questions for me? No questions?
I have a comment. Thank you, Attorney Bruno, for doing that. It was well done and very easy to understand. So I'm sure we won't have any problems with that. And again, thank you for taking the time to present this to us.
No problem. It's my pleasure. Thank you. So you guys are experts on parliamentary procedure. Well, thank you so much.
To know this, but we're going to be giving a quiz here in a minute to see if she's learned all of those steps.
Well, good luck. Well, thank you everyone for inviting me. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm here for you. And again, my apologies for running so tardy today. That's usually not my MO, but I did have to take this very important phone call. So have a great rest of your evening. Good luck for the rest of the year. And we will talk soon, I hope. Bye-bye.
Okay, and I know they're, and Marissa will help you along here. So let's go ahead and move on to public comment and see if anybody had any public comment they wanted to make on any of the agenda items. Okay.
I do have a question.
Sure,
Are we
go ahead.
posting the Zoom meeting link publicly somehow?
We are, yes.
Okay.
So that went out before this meeting, so anybody in the public can join us via Zoom for these meetings.
Okay, so it goes on the website or something?
Yes, I think Helen, is Helen still on here?
She is. It goes on the website.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, and then the, I guess the larger activity will be around taking some ideas for topics for future meetings, or maybe an area or something we want to study for this upcoming year. So Marissa, you want to kind of leave that over to you. If you want to facilitate, maybe let me just a little discussion on, how do we want to elicit that information? And then that way we have a real good focus for this upcoming school year.
And Marissa, you may want to have Ms. Fisher weigh in, since it is a board advisory committee, to see if there's anything she's interested in.
Okay, so we can go ahead and start with that. Is there, Ms. Fisher, is there a particular topic of discussion or something that we as the Curriculum Advisory Committee should focus on for this year, especially it being a different year, at least at the start?
Well, of course, I think we continue to hear about the some of the issues regarding the learning with the Home Connect as opposed to virtual school. And so I'm assuming that we're using edited or adaptive curriculum, and maybe Dr. Spiro can provide a little bit more insight. I know his team has been working diligently to meet everyone's needs, and I think that's one of the things that we might need suggestions on, is to find out how can we best. Okay, can you hear me? Oh, okay, it's telling me my speaker's not working. Okay, so how best to accommodate that and to support our teachers as they are dealing with not only the virtual learning, but coordinating that in a hybrid method with the kids who are in class face-to-face. I know that we're going to be using curriculum that we already have, and I know that iReady is our way of quickly evaluating where the kids are now. I suspect that some of our students have lost some ground along the way, since we were out of school for so long. And so I think that's another issue that might bear some discussion and has come up among the board discussions.
I do think, you know, what Ms. Fisher talked about, Lee Home Connect, and getting some feedback from this group on how to enhance the hybrid model in particular would be fabulous. We did have a teacher task force that worked on that. So anything that we could do to beef that up for our teachers, we are 100% on board with that. And I know Dr. Wilkerson had just logged off, but she put in the chat box, which goes along with what Ms. Fisher was talking about with our different way of learning. She put in there also a focus on social emotional learning and what we could do to help support the whole child is something she had put in the chat box as a possible topic in addition to with what Ms. Fisher has mentioned also.
And Dr. Spiro, then, and I would definitely echo that, because I know that that is another big need right now, because we have kids who have really not only lost ground, but been through some traumatic events. And I know there's a big attention on that now, even with our community partners. So I think that maybe some information from Lori Brooks and her team might be helpful. And I know that there are some Facebook Live pieces that can be used that members of this committee might be able to access. But I would definitely agree with Dr. Wilkerson that that's important.
I agree. And then I also was thinking, as I saw her comment in the chat box, you know, we have a lot of new initiatives around social emotional learning this year, like Wellness Wednesdays that we're doing. I'd be interested to get the feedback from this curriculum team to see, are there some other means in which we can meet the needs of our students that we haven't even thought about before. So I do think both of those topics, Lee Home Connect, hybrid, how do we support teachers? How do we take care of students through social emotional learning, the whole child? I think those are very two meaty topics that are timely. And I really feel like that we could definitely get some input on. Marissa, you have some stuff in the chat box. Marissa said there are Veterans Parks having a meeting. Go for it, Marissa.
Okay, so one of the things that comes up a lot is the whole work smarter, not harder type of thing, especially with our teachers who are blended. So nearly every teacher at Veterans Park, except for a very select few, are blended. And it's becoming more and more of them are blended because we have more and more kids coming back, but we still have a good population of kids that are remaining online. So that being said, I am the reading department chair at the school as well. So one of the things that I started going on 2 years ago, not knowing obviously all of this, is I actually have a Google Classroom that is for teachers to be able to pull things and be able to put them into their Google Classroom. And it can be, you can print them, but you can also easily put them in their just regular Google Classroom, keep it all digital. Everything is standards-based and it follows the curriculum maps for language arts and reading. I was asked to do this by East Lee when I was there while on maternity leave, but of course they didn't expect me to do it when I was on maternity leave, so I did it on maternity leave. And then when I came back, it was just more of upkeeping it, and it's literally, I do it, there's 77 teachers from around the county that are in it. Sorry, okay, so, yeah, there's a dog. Come here. Sorry about that. So anyway, one of those things that I did, what I revised it for, is specifically for our Home Connect. So I have a whole topic in there that's all back to school stuff for Home Connect and Blended. And it's stuff I've collaborated with other teachers, but as well as making my own of it. And a lot of the things I just ended up making from scratch, because I've always had the lower level, the L25s, the kids that are behind to begin with, and now they're more behind because of everything that had happened. So I've been used to kind of adjusting, but still keeping with the standards and of course the curriculum map. So I've got tons of things that I can share on this topic, but also with the social emotional thing is my school is going to have a social emotional meeting about this. It's going to be next Wednesday. So this Wednesday is our faculty meeting. And then next Wednesday is going to be specifically on that social emotional aspect for the kids that are online, but also being able to implement this kind of stuff in our blended classes too, because we have kids that are face-to-face, but they are not the only ones who, you know, haven't felt some kind of emotional. Okay, sorry. They are not the
Sorry. Don't be sorry. This is what it's all about right here.
Okay.
Hi.
So it's going to be a meeting about how to implement social emotional stuff with our face-to-face and our Home Connect kids simultaneously as well. Sorry.
All good.
Okay.
We've all been there for those of us that have had kids that were young. So how does that sound then? That we want to, for our next meeting, maybe focus on the beginnings of those two topics. So here's what we're doing for Lee Home Connect and hybrid. Let's get some input on maybe things we could do to enhance that. Here's what we're doing for social emotional learning for our kiddos. And I like the focus, Marissa, you talked about with, especially what are we doing unique for our hybrid kids? And then let's get some input on that. I think those are really big topics. And I think that might be a good starting point in my opinion, but you know, whatever the rest of the group thinks, that's just my opinion.
I agree. Question. I have a question. I understand what you're saying, Ms. Myers and Dr. Spiro. My question is, I see as a mental health expert, licensed mental health counselor, so I have at least about 27 kids that I see, you know, during teletherapy. What they're telling me as they're going face to face or even the Home Connect is that it's taking time for them to actually, how would they put it, connect with everyone and what they need to do as far as their curriculum, their academics. They're telling me that it's not being actually feasible. It's not actually being retained like they want it to be compared to earlier in the year. So I've tried to tell them, hey, you know, there was something that was this invisible killer virus, if you will, that was out there that kind of knocked things out of proportion. And that we literally have to start all over again with your academics. Let's just break things down. Let's ask the teacher, even ask your parents, what do I do? Hold your pride in and literally ask someone, let's start over, let's break it down. My question would be, how can I, as a mental health expert, kind of ring them in to say, it will be okay, for one. How can we change these emotions? You know, because they're literally falling apart here. I mean, when I'm talking to them, it's like they want to come through the screen and say, you know, Miss Sophie, I want to give you a hug. You can help me a little bit, but not a lot, because I literally want to see you. And I said, but I am seeing you on the screen, but I'm not touching you physically. They want some, I guess, assurances, if that might be the word to say, that I can do this. And I reassure them that they can, but they're still confused. They're still like pushed against the wall and they don't want to move. What can we do to literally help them move on? Does that make sense?
Oh, Sophia, that makes a lot of sense. And maybe we need to narrow our focus and really just let's take care of the kids. And so maybe we talk about what we can do around this particular area for really the social emotional needs of our kids, because it is traumatic. But you just said, I mean, that's a small sampling that probably is impacting every teacher in Lee County in one form or fashion. And so maybe that needs to be our focus, is how do we best take care of our kids, and especially those that we can't physically touch, you know, on a daily basis, where they can, you know, there's a lot about energy and being around people. And when kids aren't there, where they can't feel all that, they feel like there's that disconnect and missing. And so, Sophia, I think that might be a great starting point, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't know, the rest of the team?
I think that's a good idea.
A lot of the teachers also are kind of, you know, a little bit out of it. Kind of, they're saying, I don't want to. Some of them that I've talked to, it's like they want to help, but they really don't know how, because it says they're still in their mind, there's a pandemic here, you know, and they really don't want to express this to the kids per se, because they don't want to scare them. They don't want to frustrate them. They've already been traumatized. So it's like how I'm trying to, or the teachers say, I'm trying to focus on what we need to teach the kids, you know, to pass the I rating, for any other testing, but they're scared themselves. If that makes a little bit of sense.
It does.
It was like 5 teachers I talked to that was like, I don't know, I have these symptoms of a flu, but they're telling me I need to continue, and I'm talking to the kids and I still have the flu. I don't want to give them anything, and I don't want to get tested, but I need to continue. And I said, but if you know that you have the flu, you need to back away. But they say, no, I can't do that, because then the kids will actually kind of, you know, fall apart and say, no, I don't want to do this anymore, because this is my favorite teacher, or this is the best teacher I have, and I don't want to continue. And they get upset. I'm trying not to get animated here.
No, you're good. Go ahead, Ms. Fisher.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So a couple of teachers have also mentioned that to me. They've said that they have some, you know, that they need some more in-person training, which right now is a big challenge. And we do have our educators employee assistance program, but sometimes people are reluctant to do that. Appointments are not that easy to get because of the timing and what is going on with so many people having issues, financial issues if their husbands or wives have lost jobs. And so I think that, I don't know how we can offer that support more. And I know that our student services and counseling department has been working with people. We can maybe also encourage some of the teachers who are struggling the most to actually access their school counselor or social worker who are trained to deal with that and would be willing to help, because they're there to support, you know, the staff as well as the students. But that is a big dilemma, and thank you for bringing that to our attention.
So Marissa, do we want to start there then, you think, as a starting point?
Here we go. Yeah, so what I was just typing, because it comes out better if I type it down or write it down. Okay, so I was saying, what I said is our focus for the social emotional topic should be on our students who want that interaction but cannot because they're through a screen. So there's kids that are truly wanting that interaction, but it's difficult because number one, yeah, the obvious is that they're through a screen. But the number two is that there's teachers who don't know how to implement that kind of an interaction too. And they feel like it's emotionally taxing on them as well to try and get that interaction going with students. And so you're getting a push and a pull, you know, from both ends. And I said also focusing on our teachers who are teaching students needing that support, but feel like they're not doing, there's not enough. Like, it's all about curriculum, that's important, but there's that other piece. And kids that I know for sure, because I've taught, you know, kids who are going through things, and I've had kids they've never even been to Fort Myers Beach. So they literally get up, go to school, go home. They don't do anything else. So I've had kids that they've lived in Fort Myers their whole life, lived in Lehigh their whole life, never been to the beach. And so that being said, that kind of a life is now like, it feels like a dead end for students like that, because they were already living like that, and maybe they had some hope that they'd be able to get out and do things once they're out of, you know, whatever, high school or whatever, and now it's like a dead end. So that emotional thing is now really at the forefront with our students, because I know sometimes with our tougher kids, they were able to hide it, and now it's like right there, like it's in your face. Even with the tough ones, you know, the ones that think they're putting up a front, it's the front is breaking because of all the things going on. So there's that, you know, that can tie into all of this. What can teachers do to really make those students be able to feel like they're getting that support? And for me, because I had a conversation literally today with a parent who they moved literally 5 times since the first day of school. And 5 times since August 31st. This is why this kid has not logged on not once into Zoom. And so mom was getting emotional. She was really upset, and not with me, just with the situation. And so for me, the best thing that I could do at that point was just sympathize with her, but then also just refer them to the guidance counselor. What else could I do that's not just that? Like, I just feel like I'm pushing her off. I don't want to feel like I'm just pushing her off, because that's not what I'm doing. I don't really want her to feel like that. She was appreciative, you know, she wants, you know, other teachers to know what's going on. And then of course we have teachers that are needing support themselves. Being the reading department head, I have some teachers, they're first year teachers, and they're just like, what the heck? They really are. They're like, you people have been doing this for 30 years. So, and they feel like, you know, every time they get their head a little bit above water, someone dumps more water on their head. So there's that aspect as well. It's like, I feel like if the teacher feels like they're drowning and they're a grown person, imagine how the student feels. And, you know, it's one of those things where the last thing that we want is derailment. So from anyone, from the teachers, from the students, you know, you don't want that. And of course, teachers always feel like that they have to be professional. They can't go crying in front of the kids, you know, nothing like that. You know, don't let them see you cry. And, great, go. So, sorry. They are something else tonight.
All right, so why don't we do this? I'll go ahead and I'll have Bethany, Candace, and Lori. We'll work with the student services team.
Okay.
We'll have our team come to our next meeting, kind of talk about what are the procedures we have in place for both students and staff. Let's share with what the district is doing, but then I know they're going to want input. You know, what is it we're missing? What is it that we still could do? So be thinking between now and September, as you're coming across and hearing these type of incidences that Sophia talked about and Marissa talked about, and Ms. Fisher gets emails on a daily basis about, let's be thinking about what is it that we can do, to help support our students and our teachers that we are not already doing. So we'll have the team share what they're currently doing, and then let's give feedback to them on some very specific things that we could put in place as well. Ms. Fisher, does that seem agreeable to you?
Yes, that does. That seems excellent. And I think that working with the team will help. And I think that sometimes the teachers aren't aware of some of the supports that are available. So I think that, you know, I just got a text from my daughter-in-law. So the volleyball game is up live. So I don't know if we can do some of that, you know, in getting the message out to people. But I think that's really important, and everyone has been excellent in their suggestions. And Marissa, You'll be a perfect chair.
Thanks, Ms. Fisher. So our next meeting will be October 26th. That'll be the end of the first quarter. That gives us gives us a good sense of where we are 9 weeks later. And so we can do that as our next step.
Quick question. Are we going to have subcontractors, can't get it out, subcontractors like myself, clinicians, to come into the schools to help kids that have, severe behavioral problems that is not really being addressed, that don't want to be addressed by somebody?
Right. So so contracted services are allowed in schools right now to begin with. So we do allow contracted services for these type of situations that when we're focused on the whole child are appropriate. And then we could talk about what's not happening as far in that area as well with the student services team.
Okay.
So, all right, so that'll be the next actions on that. Marissa, you want to do good of the order and then close it out? We'll let you do those two pieces.
All right, so we can do good of the order. Is there anything else that anyone wants to make a suggestion or up for discussion? Another topic to possibly add on, and it was at the end of October is when we're going to be meeting back again, and I believe that's a Zoom one too. Okay, good, I'm getting my ducks in a row here. Okay, cool. Is there anything else? Any good of the order?
Just want to say thank you to the curriculum advisory team and to all the ladies and gentlemen that are here, because people don't know what happens behind the scenes. And I know the last time we met was in March, and everybody has been going above and beyond, working nights and weekends to get us going. So it's a huge feat that they've accomplished.
Thank you, April. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's leave on a happy note, Marissa. So.
Okay, so, Vanessa. Sorry. Okay, anyway, hopefully my husband will have the next meeting off and I'll be able to be in the quiet room. All right, so it's an honor to be the newest chair, and I'm very diligent. I will, I'm very good on my promises. I get back to things extremely quickly. I've got a new fancy schmancy watch now, and I get my work email on it. So that was a birthday present. I turned 30 on September 16th, so that's fun.
Wow.
So happy birthday.
Happy upcoming birthday.
It was actually a pretty big deal. My reason for being only home connect is I've actually had 2 open heart surgeries, so it's a big deal that I got to 30.
Oh, God bless you.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Some people would be sad to see their 20s go, and I'm amazed that I got to 30. You want to say hi?
Hey, sweetheart.
Hi.
One of my daughters, she is 4, will be 5 in August, and my plan is to send her to Veterans Park with me. That would be ideal. So
awesome.
Again, yeah. But I think we've got some good topics to go on for next time. And for meeting agenda, though, I just had a quick question for meeting agenda, because I make the agendas for our PLCs. Do I make them how far in advance? Like how
we'll have Lori, Candace, and Bethany work with you, Marissa, and then with Ms. Fisher as well. We'll go over all that process piece.
Okay.
We'll do that offline. That way we can talk to you exactly what that'll look like, and then we'll review all those procedures prior to the meeting, so you'll know exactly what's going to happen each step of the way. Because I know it was a surprise. You're the chair, now run the meeting, right? So it won't be like that. It won't be like that for the next meeting. You'll have prep time ahead of the time with the team, and we'll make sure that you are fully in the loop. Okay.
Yep, that's not a problem. Just want to know what the deal would be. But cool. All right. I think we're good.
And make a motion.
All right. So adjournment. Motion to go ahead and adjourn our meeting. Yeah.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay.
A second.
Thank you.
Thanks, Isabel. You're welcome.
All right, everybody. We'll have a super fabulous evening.
All righty.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.